What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming at y'all with another 2-minute drill episode, kicking off the week, Monday, June 28th. And man, we got a topic I always hate to address, but it's huge news out of Tennessee. We recorded our Tennessee interview last week. Kyler Curvetson came on here. We dropping all the knowledge, and we had kind of like a preview of what was coming, where he kind of informed us that Kadon Salter got in a bit more trouble and could be on his way out. Well, it looks like he's on his way out for sure now. But we'll get to the announcements at the end. But at the beginning, make sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. Hope you all had a great weekend. But Brandon, we got to get right into it. 4-star QB Kadon Salter released from Tennessee after his second run into the law with marijuana, traffic stops. I mean, the kid just couldn't seem to stay out of trouble. He went to Twitter, confirmed that his recruitment is, quote, 100% open. His quote was, "My past mistakes are meant to guide me, not define me. Everyone makes mistakes in life, but that doesn't mean I have to pay for my mistakes for the rest of my life. Good people do make bad choices. It doesn't mean I'm bad. It just means I'm human." I don't want to go through his whole recruitment letter. It's like 2 pages long, so I'm not going to sit here and read the book to y'all. Y'all can go check it out on this Twitter. It is at 07ksalt on Twitter. You can go check out his whole thing where he announces his recruitment is 100% open. He was dismissed Thursday, right after we recorded our Tennessee interview, actually. His second arrest for the team since January, Brandon. He's facing a misdemeanor drug charge stemming from a traffic stop on the 19th. He was with another freshman, Armani McKinnell, as they were pulled over for having no tail lights, a tinted license plate, and tailgating. And they found a bag of 4 grams of marijuana in the car. And he was suspended prior to his dismissal, so this was his second one. He also got charged with assault and burglary at a residence hall on campus, which caused him to miss the entire spring camp his freshman year. And so now he's on the move, Brandon, and we know the transfer portal is becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And guys, the reason we're covering this was one of the highest ranked QBs for Tennessee in a long time. This kid was a top 150 prospect, 4-star kid out of Texas, 247, Brandon. So the composite's a top 150. 247 had him as a top 50 prospect and a top 5 prospect in the state of Texas. I mean, he had offers from everywhere, man. And his scouting report had him as a second, third round pick. He had multiple playoff appearances, Brandon. In 3 years in Texas, he threw for over 6,500 yards, 64 touchdowns, rushed for over 2,000, and had a bunch of touchdowns, rushing 32 to be exact. So this kid's a baller. Everybody, even Kyler Curvetson, who we had off the Tennessee podcast, told me off camera this was going to be the future of the Tennessee QB position. So let's kind of break this in two here, Brandon. For one, let's address the personal side with Salter, and then we'll kind of get into what this means for Tennessee. I know I told you before the episode, I always hate covering this because it just kills me when we see kids like this ruin their whole future over something so dumb that could be avoided. But what's your take on the situation and, what happened to Salter here?
I also hate that it happened, Zach, because, I mean, they're drug charges, and at that, they're marijuana charges. I know he's in Tennessee, so 4 grams is going to get you a charge. Not a weed guy, by the way. Like Zach and I are not, but we can speak on it. That's for personal use. It's not like he's sitting here trafficking it. So, I feel like he could have been cut a little bit of a break here. Who knows? Who knows what exactly happened there? But I hate that it happened to him. But twice in the span of 6 months is tough. That's a really tough look. I feel like the first time you get caught and you're like, you know what? Let's clean up the act a little bit. If you're going to use it at home. Don't use it. Don't have it in the car with you. I feel like that's just like a a huge lapse in judgment by Kaidon. So, I mean, my heart goes out to him because I hate this. And I don't think his career's over. You know, I don't think this is like going to affect his, the remainder of his career. 247 had him compared to Jaden Daniels in his scouting report. His career's not over. We're going to see this dude's mom pay for many flights in the future if he's compared to Jaden Daniels. No, he'll end up in another Power 5 program, Zach. It sucks that this happened. And really, like I said, I feel bad for him, but good Lord, Tennessee can't catch a break, can they? I mean, I feel like that's secondary here, but Tennessee is getting killed. Like you said, like one of the top prospects they've ever had is now gone in the span of an offseason. He was an early enrollee, but he was going to be a freshman this fall, and he didn't get to take a single snap. So, I mean, that sucks for everybody. If you're a Tennessee fan, I hate it for you. If you're Kadon Salter, I really, really hate it for you. But your future's bright. You're definitely gonna land at another Power 5 program. It's just a matter of where.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know if he'll land in a Power 5 just because I think the deadline is the first.
He can still enroll. He just can't play for the fall.
Okay. And I mean, he also could the JUCO route is an option as well. We've seen a lot of people. Nick Marshall. I mean, that's just an Auburn guy. Nick Marshall, Cam Newton. A lot of these guys were kicked out of school. I mean, Nick Marshall and Cam Newton both had charges brought on them, and we took the JUCO route, and they turned out just fine. Kadon Salter's going to be. Hey, listen, anybody over Bo Nix. I'll take Brandon over Bo Nix right now, but I don't know. I mean, so I don't want to get into like the legality of marijuana. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be Stephen A. Smith and scream at y'all about stay off the weed or anything dumb like that. That's just baiting. But realistically though, I mean, if you're a player by chance watching this, if you're a parent who knows a player, a parent who's raising a player, make sure your kid surrounds himself with the right circle of people, especially at this level. Like, dude, like you had the chance to be the future of Tennessee football and threw it away for nothing.
That's true.
You gotta be smarter. Gotta surround yourself with the right circle of people, man. And as cheesy as it sounds, man, you have to get yourself a better support system than this. I mean, you threw away everything for 4 grams of weed.
Yeah, that's tough.
I mean, there's people who would give their right leg, even though I guess they won't be a very good quarterback, to be the quarterback at Tennessee. I mean, they would give anything to be the quarterback at Tennessee. And I mean, you gotta make better decisions, man. But I like actually what he said in the statement where, like, yes, like this is a short-term consequence for his decision-making, but he doesn't have to pay for this his entire life. Like, he's right. I mean, people make bad decisions and like it happens. And I think he's going to be fine, Brandon. You mentioned, what high praise this kid has. If I think regardless whether he goes to the JUCO route, the Group of 5 route, the Power 5 route, whether he goes to the FCS route, he's going to be fine. Let's just keep it real. He's going to be okay. And so I'm very excited to see what he does, and we're going to be keeping tabs on this kid. But I want to kind of shift this over because we can discuss, the ins and outs. But I never want to be the podcast, and that's why we usually don't cover these stories. Is we're not ever going to be the podcast to crucify an 18-year-old for making a dumb mistake one time. Y'all can tune into First Take or something like that for that. But we're just going to keep it on the front, man. We wish Kadon Salter the best, man. We just had to cover that this happened. I want to shift to more, though, Brandon. You mentioned it. Jesus, Tennessee. Whatever you did in your past life, y'all need to apologize. Y'all need to repent. Brandon can set you up with a priest. Something needs to be done here because y'all need to be forgiven for your sins. Brandon, we saw they have Brian Moore coming back. They have Hendon Hooker transferring in. That they did have Kaidon. I mean, so for Josh Heupel, you lose the most players to the transfer portal in the NCAA by a significant margin. You can replace some of those. Our guy Kyler said that he thinks Brian Moore is going to win the job. I like Hendon Hooker just based on experience. It's going to be a steep battle. But those guys have limited eligibility left. They aren't a top 50 freshman in the 247 rankings. What does this mean for Josh Heupel and the future of Tennessee football?
It's gonna be tough, man. And to say it's gonna be a bumpy road is really an understatement. And I already kind of looked forward to this whenever I was talking about Kadon Salter in general. I mean, Tennessee is screwed, dude. I mean, what does this do? What has it already done for recruiting? The whole scandal about paying players and everything. It's kind of turned it on its head, And there weren't a lot of players that were still fully I'm going to Tennessee. But Kadon Salter was one of those, and he was one of the best players that you had. Now he's gone. This sucks, dude. And if I were Tennessee's coach right now, I don't know what I'd be doing. I mean, I guess you'd be looking to the future, but I think this immediately puts you on the hot seat. I know it's your first season, and Tennessee can't realistically expect success from the start, but they're going to. It's an SEC school, and it's a storied SEC school at that, Zach. I mean, look back to the 90s. Tennessee was great. Look back, I mean, even further than that, Tennessee's been great. It's just here in the past decade and a half, they haven't been. And I think that's what a lot of people look at Tennessee as now, this not so great program. This program still has the boosters that are willing to pull their money the second Tennessee slacks up a little bit. And Tennessee hasn't been awful over the past few seasons. That might have had something to do with a McDonald's bag full of money. But regardless, they've been on the up and up. I mean, 2019, they were really good. Toward the end of the season there, Zach, we were talking about them as one of the hottest SEC teams entering last season. And so, dude, everything looks like it's just going the wrong way for Tennessee right now. Hopefully, for any Volunteers out there, hopefully things turn around and nothing else goes wrong, because I don't know what else could go wrong, but I feel like I might have just jinxed it by saying that.
I mean, so for me, on the real, all it does is I think they're going to have to bring 2 quarterbacks in this next class. They already have one committed. I really like this kid, Taven Jackson, out of Greenwood, Indiana. Brandon, 6'4", 195. He's a 4-star QB. He's not as highly ranked as Salter was. He's 247, has him as the 15th best quarterback in the class for their rankings. The composite, he's top 25. If you're that good, then you're fine. He has 34 offers, Brandon. He's an elite 11 quarterback. Yeah. His pro comparison is Jordan Love. So he's got that raw potential. The only thing is Brandon, he doesn't throw a lot in high school. Brandon, he only had 175 attempts in 19 in high school and only 182 his next year in 20. But it was a short season. But Brandon, the leap here in potential, his first year in 19, he had 9 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He had that Jameis Winston ratio. He attempted more passes the next year and went to 17 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. So you're seeing that he's going through and maturing. And I really like Taven Jackson. He's built like one of those, one of those pro-style quarterbacks we see today that can move, but he isn't a run-first guy. He has the arm on him that he can make all the throws on the field. So at least you have Taven Jackson committed. If you didn't have him committed, Brandon, Josh Heupel would have to scramble for. You could not sign a quarterback in 2022. You had to get some youth into that room. They got Jackson. And I wouldn't be surprised, Brandon, if one of those 3 stars, that kind of get overlooked, says, "Hey, I'll come to Tennessee." I wouldn't be surprised if Heupel took a waiver on a kid just based on potential to make sure he has some depth moving forward. Because it's going to be interesting to see how this QB battle. Does anyone transfer out if they don't win? If they do, Tennessee could be real SOL. If one of those guys transfers, that QB room could be looking real thin. And for the long run, man, it just puts more pressure on whoever starts the season. Because if you start Hooker, if you start Maurer, and they don't play well, or one of them gets hurt, man, why not? If you're out of bowl contention, go ahead and start Salter at the end of the year. Get him a little bit of experience or something. You have 4 games to play with before you lose that red shirt. Now they can't even ready Taven Jackson. He can't be on campus. They can't ready that freshman QB to take over the room. And it's just horrible for Heupel because they lose their 2 highest rated commits in the 2021 class. Because if you remember, top 100 player Dylan Brooks backed out of his commitment and went to Auburn.
Right.
So they lost both of their highest rated, commits at DN and quarterback, two of the most important positions on the team.
I mean,
And you lose both of them.
That's terrible.
It's Josh Heupel has the hardest job out of any new SEC coach. Brian Harsin is working with what Gus Malzahn left. He might even have a harder job than what Vandy has, because at least there's no expectations at Vandy for Clark Lee. He is going to have to figure it out. And I think losing Kadon Salter on top of everything else you just lost it's just a rude awakening, man. And I think Josh Heupel just has to build the right culture up there in Knoxville. And you just got to hope that you can put it back, because it's like he can't even catch his breath. As soon as he lands the transfer, now this happens. And if he loses anyone else, man, I think Josh Heupel is going to age like 50 years in Knoxville in his first few months.
Yeah, he'll go gray. He'll go gray for sure, or bald. Who knows?
Oh man, I'm not sure exactly. I think Tennessee fans have to temper expectations, man. I mean, this season is probably going to be one of the more brutal seasons in the SEC.
I don't know how, if you're a Tennessee, and I'm not trying, this isn't a jab right now. It might be, but I don't know how, if you're a Tennessee fan, your expectations aren't always a little bit tapered. I mean, remember like 2016 when they were supposed to be the greatest team in the SEC? Like, they were supposed to be like the greatest team in SEC history, and they just started losing every game, or they win a game by a point.
You see, I don't know. They made a good move. They got rid of Jarrett and Garantano.
That's true. That was a good move.
That's like an added 3 wins, possibly.
Right.
How big of an upgrade is Hendon Hooker from Jarrett Garantano?
That's hard to put into words, Zach. I mean, what figures would we even use? Like,
listen, it's so funny. We had guys, we had the Washington State interview for our Pac-12 in 31 days. The Washington State guy we had on said that when he posts an article about Jared Garantano, who's now at Washington State, he gets more Tennessee fan hate on the article than he gets Washington State people interacting with it. That's how much Tennessee has beef with Jared Garantano. And it's so bad. That poor dude. And the best part, Brandon, Kyler had to throw it in there in our interview, is that his first pass attempt at Washington State was a pick six.
He can't catch a break. I mean, he was already gone from Tennessee. Maybe that's the curse. Who knows?
The Jared Garantano curse.
That's it. I'll get it tattooed. That's incredible. The Jared Garantano curse.
Oh man, but listen, Tennessee's gonna be fine. At least you got 2 guys who have a little bit of starting experience, a lot in Hooker, and you got 2 guys that fit 2 different schemes. I think Josh Heupel, being the kind of quarterback, offensive-minded guy, will figure it out. Taven Jackson, you at least got him on board. You have to keep him on board. If you lose his commitment, we're talking about critical problems at Tennessee. I think you have to land a second quarterback just to be safe in terms of depth. So we'll see here, Brandon. But guys, Kadon Salter, sadly released from Tennessee. We wish the best for him. We hope he winds up somewhere where he can be successful, reinvigorate his career somewhere, get his head on straight. And for Tennessee, better keep Taven Jackson or y'all are going to be screwed. But guys, we got some big topics coming this week. Brandon's College Football Hall of Fame video is in the works. We got some big announcements, one of which is next month we are starting the Bluebloods live. We're going live twice next month to kind of prepare y'all. We want to get this live stream worked out so that way during the season we can live stream. We're going to have some big announcements in terms of live streams during the season. But for July, which is really the last all-season month, we're going to go live twice. It'll be the second and last Saturday of the month. So make sure to tune in right here on YouTube. More announcements will be posted as they come. We got some big things in the works, but that's all I can tell you right now. We wanted to get you that live stream stuff out. Make sure to subscribe now. Make sure to hit that post notification bell and like this video. Go check out previous 2-minute drill episodes, previous interviews from across all the conferences. We have LSU today, man. Our guy Blake Ruffino from the Are You Serious podcast joins us, man. That was a blast of an interview. That dude is legit. Go check out his YouTube channel as well, AYS Sports. He does it big over there. Part of the Believe Podcast Network. Those guys do it. That every podcast on that network is A1. So make sure you go check that out. But guys, for the Bluebloods, we out now. But Beat Up and I will be back tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe. But for right now, man, we are out.